Now, South Carolina, we turned the page to the Gamecocks. Stop me if you've heard this before. You know, they're rebuilding, and Gamecocks are starting from scratch. We've got a new coaching staff. And I tell you what, if you close your eyes and put up a video, no, if you put up audio, you wouldn't have to close your eyes. But if you put up a video and close your eyes of Dabo Swinney circa 2008 and Shane Beamer circa now 2021 and play them side by side, you'd be amazed the vocabulary, how similar the two are. The words they used. 2008, when Dabo took over, he was nobody. He hadn't even been an offensive or defensive coordinator. He'd been a receivers coach. He'd been a recruiting coordinator. What he was a salesman. And he had to sell himself. He had to sell his program over and over and over again. And he did so by really stating the absurd in some cases. Everybody's a great player. Everything in our program is great. Our facilities are the best in the country. Our academics, everything was the best. And you know what? You know, people rolled their eyes for a little while, and then, you know, he started to reap the dividends by getting these players in, and now it feeds upon itself. Go listen to Shane Beamer. It's the same thing, a little different accent, but the same type of verbiage. Everything at South Carolina is the best in the country. Best nutritionists, best assistant coaches, best dorms, best. Players are great. Love, hug. Everybody's together. Loyalty, more than anything else, it's about love in the program, trying to build from the inside out with a new culture at South Carolina. And, you know, we'll see how it works. That goes well for a while. It goes well in your first year in the off season until you get into the season, and, you know, then it comes down to wins and losses. People want to win. Now, patience is short out there, and, you know, they'll listen for a little while, but eventually they'll tune out to that kind of stuff if you're not delivering. So I would say that to this point, Beamer has done everything, I'm not going to say perfect, but everything right in getting things started at South Carolina. Again, trying to change the culture, trying to change the outside view of the program. Whether you believe him or not with everything he says, he's saying it. And the players are the ones that have to buy into it, and they seem to be buying into what he and his assistant coaches are saying. There does seem to be a real tightness, a lot of enthusiasm for a team that's only won 6 games the last 2 years. You know, a lot of, you know, dare I say, cockiness around the Gamecock program right now. They're bringing back the name Cockpit to some degree. Did y'all know that? They're not calling the whole stadium the Cockpit, which I've been advocating for, but they're going to call the section where the students sit the Cockpit. You know, in both the football stadium, basketball, baseball, it's going to be called the Cockpit area. So that's a start, I think, in a good direction in building up enthusiasm and fandom. From a team standpoint, well, when a guy who was a GA 7 days ago could be your starting quarterback in your opening game, that kind of tells you where you are from that standpoint. This could be one of the great stories in college football this year. Zeb Nolan. Anybody ever heard of him prior to 7 days ago? You'd heard of him?
He played at Iowa State.
Oh, I've never met an Iowa State fan before.
This is a once in 65 year for us.
That's right. Y'all are good. Y'all are good.
My other shirt I could have wore was Alabama. But
yeah, that's boring. So you've heard? Okay, so you knew of it. Yeah. Well, you know, he did some playing out there. He transferred to North Dakota State, and he backed up Trey Lance. Of course, now he's with San Francisco. He did play in the spring. He's a big kid. We got to see him for the first time in person yesterday. He's a big kid. He comes from a coach's family. And, you know, his thought was, I'm ready to go ahead and get my coaching career started after finishing up in the spring at North Dakota State. They played a spring schedule. And his father and Shane Beamer were friends. They knew each other, the Beamers. And so they made the contact. And he came to South Carolina to be a GA, knowing that he still had 1 year of eligibility remaining. But really the conversation never really heated up about putting the uniform back on until Luke Doty got hurt. about, let's see, a little over about 10 days ago on a Friday. Sprained foot. Now he's out of the cast. He's in a walking boot. He's rehabbing. You know, he's a really dedicated kid. And, you know, I'm not going to be surprised if he's back for the opener. You know he'd like to be the starting quarterback for Shane Beamer in his first game, you know. But you can't rush him. In no sense risking it. If he's not 100%, you can't send him out there, even though you're playing an FCS opponent. Guys can get hurt against anybody. So if he's not the starter, from what we're hearing and gathering, this kid has made a big jump in just now. Today was his 7th practice. And remember, a couple of those days had to be in just helmet and shorts as you acclimate. So he hadn't had a whole lot of time on the field. But they say he knows the offense, that he's a very smart kid, that he was instrumental in working with the quarterbacks as a GA, teaching them the offense. So that's a main thing going in his favor, is that he knows the offense extremely well. Marcus Satterfield, the offensive coordinator, has been very impressed with him, his smarts, his intelligence. He does have a good arm. I don't get the feeling he's much of a runner. So who knows? It could be Zeb Nolan taking the first snap for the Gamecocks. We'll have to wait and see how Doty comes along. Jason Brown's still in the hunt some as well. He's the transfer quarterback, another big kid. He's really good looking on the hoof. Had to get in a little bit better shape, and I think he's been doing that. So unproven at quarterback are the Gamecocks, okay? Again, as they go into this season. Listen, in today's football, you got to be good at quarterback. Kevin Harris. Now, the one where the Gamecocks are good, of course, the running back room is really good. Kevin Harris, Zaquandre White, a freshman named Juju McDaniel, and they got others. But those are the main ones. Now, Harris has been dealing with a back. He had a little off-season surgery. Today, I understand he was in a helmet and shoulder pads and shorts, and he was running around. He, again, did not take contact, but they say he's going to be fine. It's just a matter of time before they cut him loose. Running back is a great deep position for the Gamecocks. Tight end is a deep position for the Gamecocks. There might be occasion where you'll see 3 tight ends on the field because Jaheim Bell is a guy that can be on the field. He's a tight end by trade, but he also can play running back. You can put him in the H-back. Of course, you've got Nick Muse. You've got Kevion Mullins. They're really deep at tight end. For some reason, they got a lot of tight ends. And they're going to use them. And so the offensive line is pretty much the same as last year. And look, that was an offensive line last year against an all-SEC schedule that produced a 1,000-yard rusher without much of a passing game to open things up. So they did a pretty good job. I'd give them credit for what they did last year. That's pretty good. Defense should be really good up front on defense, much like Clemson. Maybe not in Clemson's caliber, but one of the better overall defensive lines at South Carolina in a number of years. Veteran, big, got some talent. J.J. Inabare could be a pro coming off the edge. Zach Pickens in the middle could be a pro one day with his size and bulk right in the middle. Aaron Sterling, they've got him healthy at the other defensive end. Jordan Birch, he can't crack. This is a guy who's a 5-star recruit. He can't crack the lineup right now. It tells you how good they are. Jabari Ellis. They really like the kid from Hemingway, Tonka Hemingway, who they moved from in to the inside. Rick Sandage, when he gets healthy again, he'll help some. Now they're going to a 4-2-5 base defense. So 2 linebackers, be Sherrod Green and Brad Johnson, both veterans, and then 5 defensive backs. And they really hit the transfer portal hard to improve their secondary. They did a good job with that. They lost a potential starter last week when Karan Prunty decided to leave and go back home to Virginia for personal reasons. That really hurt because he probably was going to be a starter at corner. So you got Marcellus Dial, who's a junior college transfer, and Darius Rush, who's never played much, starting at corners. That's a big concern. Secondary is still a big concern for them. They might get picked apart in the secondary. That's why you got to hope you get a lot of pressure up front from that defensive line. Kicking game looks good. Same guys are back, so they're good there. So, you look at the Gamecocks, And listen, Las Vegas, they're pretty smart out there. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They have the Gamecocks over/under on wins at 3.5. Okay. Well, I mean, that means they think they're going to beat Eastern Illinois, Vanderbilt, and Troy. That's 3 right there. Okay. So obviously they're going to do better than that. I mean, I just put $100,000 down on the over on that. So this might be the last time you see me for a variety of reasons. Okay, either I'm moving to Acapulco or I'm in jail, whatever the case. Maybe. Now I wish I had, but I will put $1. I will put $1 down on the over. They're going to win more than 3 games. I'll put $1 down on that because I mentioned the 3. Okay, so it's so tough with the Gamecocks searching for 5 wins. If you can find 5 wins on the schedule, then you hope you can get to 6. But really, they could go to East Carolina and win that game. That would be huge. That's going to be, people might say, listen, East Carolina. They haven't been good in recent years, but Mike Houston is an excellent coach. Remember, he beat the Gamecocks when he was at the Citadel, and he won 2 national championships at James Madison, and 1 or 2. I think it was 2. Maybe he played for 2 and won 1. But anyway, had a lot of success. He's in his 3rd year there. He's got everybody back. He's got a quarterback he likes. It's up there. Anybody ever been to East Carolina for a game? So those fans are nutso. They've expanded the stadium and it's going to be packed. They see some meat coming in. They see a Power 5 conference team coming in, and they're ready to chomp. That'll be a tough game. If they can win that, they're 2-0 going to Athens. Okay, they're not going to win in Athens. So they'll be 2-1 coming out of Athens. And then you got, I think, Kentucky and Vanderbilt coming up soon thereafter. You got to win the home games. Can they beat Kentucky at home? Kentucky's been tough for them over the years. They've really kind of established themselves as that good middle-of-the-road SEC team. If you could pull that off at home. In other words, I could see a way to 6 wins if they play good football. I could see a way. 6 wins gets you into a bowl. And that would be significant for the Gamecocks. You get to continue to practice. You get a chance to go win a bowl game. So my thought is they're going to get to 6 wins by beating East Carolina, probably taking off somebody like maybe Auburn late in the year and Kentucky at home, along with the other 3. That's 5. That puts you right there. Maybe they can get to a 6 win. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. But that's kind of where the Gamecocks are right now. Recruiting. That is something, of course, that they've got to do well. And look, they went from off the radar in recruiting this June with a bunch of commitments to jumping into the top 20 and into the top 7 in the SEC. That's who you have to measure yourself against. So they did a really good job. Shane Beamer used a lot of official visits in June when they were allowed to bring kids in. They got several commitments from that. And they've got their quarterback in the 22 class locked in, and they've addressed their secondary quite a bit with this class as well. Picked up some receivers, and they're looking to maybe add another receiver, maybe another linebacker here in the fall. Also still recruiting a couple of defensive linemen. So their recruiting has gone pretty well to this point for a team for a coaching staff that really has to just sell themselves and kind of sell the university as a whole, but doesn't have a track record to sell. If they can get to 500, get to a bowl game, that'll give them something really to show kids, and that should really help them in recruiting.